surprisingly doing catch the quadrant, build businesses, and buy real estate. In 1943, the United States began taxing all working Americans via payroll deductions. In other words, the government got paid before people in the E quadrant got paid. Anyone who was purely in E had little escape from the government. Also meant that instead of only the rich being taxed, still of the 16, which was the hope of the 16th Amendment, every NS got taxed, rich or poor. Today, the lowest wage earners in America pay more taxes as a percentage of total income than the rich and middle classes. In 1986, the Tax Reform Act went after the highly paid professionals and the S quadrant. This act specifically targeted doctors, lawyers, architects, dentists, engineers, and other professionals, which it made it difficult, if not impossible, for them to shelter their income in the way that the rich do in the B and I quadrants. These professionals are forced to operate their business through S corporations instead of C corporations, or else pay a tax penalty. The rich do not pay this penalty. Income for these highly compensated professionals is then passed through the S corporation and taxed at their profession, and then taxed at the highest individual rate possible. They do not have the opportunity to shelter their income through deductions allowed to the state corporations. At the same time, the law was changed to force all S corporations to have a calendar year end. This forced all income to be taxed at the highest rate. When Robert discussed these changes with his CPA, he reminded Robert that the biggest shock to his newly self-employed people generally comes at the end of their first business year when they realize that the biggest tax they are paying for is self-employment tax. This tax is double for SRE and self-employed over what they paid as E's or employees, and it is calculated based on income. For the individual, can deduct any self-itemized deductions or personal exemptions. It is possible for a self-employed person to have no taxable income and yet still owe self-employment tax. Corporations, on the other hand, do not pay self-employment tax. The 1986 Tax Reform Act also effectively pushed E's and S's of America out of real estate as an investment into papers, assets such as stocks and mutual funds. Once the downsizing began, millions not only felt less secure about their jobs, also felt less secure about their retirement, simply because their future financial well-being was based upon paper assets subject to the ups and downs of the market. The 1986 Tax Reform Act also appears to have had the intention of shutting down the smaller community banks in America and shifting all banking to large national banks. Robert suspects this was done so America could compete with the large banks of Germany and Japan. If that was the intent, it was successful. Today in America, banking is less personal and purely numbers. The net result is that it is harder for certain classes of people to qualify for home loans. Instead of a small town banker knowing you personally, a central computer spits your name out if you don't meet its personal and qualification requirements. After the 1986 Tax Reform Act, the rich continue to earn more, work less, pay less in taxes, and enjoy greater assets protection using the formula Robert's rich dad gave him years earlier, which was build a business and buy real estate. The idea was to make a lot of money via AC corporations and shelter the income through real estate, while millions upon millions of Americans less in taxes and enjoy greater asset protection by using the formula Robert Rich Dad gave him years earlier, which was go to business and buy real estate. The idea was to make a lot of money via C corporations and shelter the incomes from real estate. While millions upon millions of Americans work more and more paying taxes, I went back by a bit, like a lot. Millions are putting more and more in taxes than pour billions each month into mutual funds. The rich are richer, than buying billions in investments, real estate. A share of a C corporation allows the buyer to share in the risk of owning a company. A share of stock does not allow the shareholder the advantage that owning a C corporation and investing in a real estate for it. Why did Rich Dad recommend building businesses in C corporations and then buying real estate? Because the tax laws reward people who operate that way. This subject is beyond the scope of this book. Just remember the words of immensely wealthy people such as Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's. My business is not hamburgers. My business is real estate. Remembers the words of Robert Rich Dad, who rammed into Robert said, build businesses and buy real estate. In other words, Robert needed to seek his fortune on the right side of the capital quadrant to take full advantage of the tax laws. In 1990, President George H.W. Bush raised taxes after promising, read my lips, no new taxes. In 1992, President Bill Clinton signed into law one of the largest tax increases in recent history. Tax increases continued to the 21st century. Again, these tax increases affect the E's and S's. The B's and I's are, for the most part, not effective. As we progress further and further into information age, we all need to continue to gather more information. As we continue to gather information from different quadrants in the information age, quality information is the most important asset. As Eric Hoffer once said, time to change, learners inherit theirs, while they learn to find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. So basically, really, like, since the 1986 Tax Reform Act or something like that, well, just like, people that are in, like, real estate and stuff like that, or like, the B's and I's, and they can, like, have, like, unlike the E's and S's, I don't know how to say this, like, I guess they don't really have to pay as much taxes as them. Maybe, I don't know how to explain this, because since it was a long one, I didn't really understand it. But the B's and I's, since they have a business, I guess, their taxes, I guess, are, like, different to the E's and S's. I really don't know, but what I do know, if that I'm wrong, is that you should buy these two books. Their names on Ask Kids All Kids Come From Mom Dad. Shan is run by my mom. It's how she went from 0 to 50 apartments in 7 years, and really, it's not, it's just, well, yeah. Like, subscribe, bye.